want to talk about something just a little bit connected to what's going on, not just in my country, in Israel, but what's going on in the whole world. And I want to begin by talking about a topic which I know you've all heard before, but I want to go over it to make sure we're on the same page. One of the major fundamentals of Jewish belief is the belief that time is something that we travel through in exactly the same way as we travel through space. And of course my story is a little bit connected, because when you cross over a state line, you can actually gain time or lose time. But let's say in Europe, which is many countries in a small area, you can take a 12-day Europass, go through 12 countries, you will cross a border crossing. That border crossing, let's say you go from France to Germany. When you go from France to Germany, you know that when you're in France, people will be speaking, how you do Hamas? People are speaking like a certain way. They'll be eating their cheese and their francs and whatever they do in France. I'm British, so we always make inappropriate French jokes. Even I happen to like Paris. I was there a couple of months ago teaching. Paris is beautiful, but the British are obligated. It's like a British thing to make jokes like, why did the French close their windows at night? To air out the streets, like duh. Okay, so we make these jokes. When you cross over the border into Germany, into Deutschland, alles gut. Okay, and then you get over there, there's a different vibe, everything's punctual, and people are goose-stepping around. Hopefully they've forgotten that the war is over. And the bottom line is that border crossings are huge in Europe, and border crossings are huge in the Jewish calendar. So if you go through 12 countries, it's exactly like going through 12 months of the Jewish year. Let's say the border crossing between the month of Adar and the month of Nisan would be a border crossing from a world that is the world of laughter into a world that will be the world of freedom. Because that is the difference between the 2 months. So now I'm going to ask you all a question. And I asked the rabbi if I can be politically incorrect. So if you don't like the next moment, you blame that man. Listen to me. I want you to do something awful. For a few moments, I want you to think through the brain of Donald Trump. And then answer the following question. The United States of America, according to him, is the greatest country in the world. Mexico is the worst country in the world. I'm British, so honestly, the way I see the difference in the two countries is basically which way you die. I don't mean to be macabre, but you go to Mexico, my kids are always worried that I'm going to be kidnapped by some narco group and lose a couple of fingers. Here in America, you just get, go into a Wendy's and someone will randomly come in with some machine gun that he bought at Kmart and just gun you down because he doesn't like Mondays. That's basically the difference. But the point is, and a lot of nods from the audience. This is scary. This is a scary thing. The bottom line is, in Donald Trump's world, this is the worst border crossing that could possibly exist. What would that be in the Jewish calendar? What would that be in the Jewish calendar? Thank you so much. Okay, the answer is the month of Tishrei to the month of Cheshvon. Let's work this together in terms of the calculations. Very simple. Shlomo HaMelech, King Solomon, called Tishrei the month of love between the Jewish people and God, and specifically Yom Kippur, Yom Chasunasai, Yom Simchas Libo. Translation, God's wedding day, God's day of his great rejoicing. Basically means the following thing. Rosh Hashanah, you get to meet the king. We are the beautiful princess, we're the Jewish people, we get to meet the king. This is the engagement party that the romance begin. For 10 days, we prepare for the wedding. Yom Kippur is the wedding day. Afterwards, you will leave the chuppah and you go to what's called the Yichud room, which is called Sukkot. Sukkot is basically private time between us and the Kadosh Baruch Hu, special time in the Sukkah. There's a lot of stuff going on with the 17 nations of the world as well, which we'll speak about in a few minutes. Simchas Torah in a regular year, Simchas Torah is basically just us and God dancing together. That's what it is. From Simchas Torah to the end of the month is called the honeymoon. Everything I'm saying to you is based on the ancient sources, and it's spoken out a lot in the Hasidic sources as well, that the month of Tishrei is a special romance, a special closeness between man and God. Man being the Jewish people. What happens on Rosh Chodesh Cheshvon? suddenly you go from 100 to 0. So what does that mean? Let's just think about in terms of a real life story. Imagine a young lady meets the man of his dreams. He's got everything that she wants. She marries him, and she finds out that when she marries him, he's 100 times better than everything that she thought he could possibly be. He will not look at any other woman except for her. He is a person with beautiful, beautiful midos, beautiful characteristics. He works hard, he studies Torah, never misses minyan. And if I may add, he even has abs. Everything you could want. This guy's perfect, okay? This guy is perfect. For 1 month, she enjoys every moment being with him, and it's obvious that he feels the same way about her. Then one day, she opens her eyes, sees, where is he in the house? He's gone. He checks, calls him up, he's not answering the phone. They call the police, they do a whole search, he's disappeared. From 100 to 0, this man that was totally perfect has now completely and totally disappeared. So, I want to ask you a quick question. We all know that right over here, when we announced the month of Cheshvon, we called it Mar Cheshvon, bitter Cheshvon, bitter Cheshvon. Why do we have bitter Cheshvon? It makes more sense to have bitter Av. The month of Av is when we had the destruction of the temple. So what do you have? You have bitter Cheshvon. Why do we have bitter Av? Who would like to answer?
No holiday.
The what?
No holiday.
No holiday. So let me translate what you just said over here. Tishrei B'Av is a bizarre holiday, but it is a form of connection. Let me just explain to you what I mean. I happen to know the good rabbi over here, and if he wanted to, he could double up as a therapist. Probably a lot of people over here, if they really had to, could do basic family therapy. I want you to picture the following scene. You're a family therapist. 2 couples walk in. The first couple that walks in, as they walk in, they're screaming and shouting at each other. They are accusing each other of terrible things. You're there for 1 hour just hearing them shout and scream and yaller, and you're thinking to yourself, how much money are you making just doing nothing? And then when the hour is over, your ears are hurting, they're out of there. The next couple that walks in, they walk in, they're not looking at each other, they sit down, they first make sure that their chairs are not facing each other, they go like this. And then afterwards, you think it's probably easier to be a dentist for like a shock, to try and get teeth out of the shock, than to be able to get these people to talk. Which couple do you have a better chance of helping? The first or the second? Why? Stacy, right?
Because at least they're communicating.
At least they're communicating. So in the holy words of Reb Tzadok Cohen of Lublin, the month of Av, we're sitting down on the floor crying with Hashem, understanding that the two of us have to go our separate ways for 2,000 years of exile. But we're crying with Hashem. Hashem is still communicating with us. In the month of Cheshvan, we go from 100 to 0. There's absolutely nothing. Now, it gets much worse when we talk about the month of Cheshvan. I want you to know that Judaism really does believe in the concept of constellations. When God created the world, He created the 12 months. And when He created the 12 months, He created each month should come with a constellation in the stars. How does it work? So we know the month of Nisan is Aries the Lamb, the month of Iyar is Taurus the Bull, Gemini the Twins, and it keeps on going all the way to this month. Anybody know what this month is? Who has a birthday in the month of Cheshvan? Yeah, what's your name, please? Yecheskel. Do you mind if I relentlessly pick on you for the next 10 minutes? Okay, yeah. Did he say yes?
He said yes.
Okay, so let's have an imaginary Yecheskel, because I don't want to pick on him. Imagine that you are born in the month of Cheshvan. You are a Scorpio. In Hebrew, it's called Mazal Akrav. Ayin, Kuf, Reish, Beis. And Akrav is a scorpion. Let me give you the Torah definition of a scorpion. Is that your wife next to you? Don't listen. Every...
It's also our anniversary this month, so.
Okay. I'm not going to be making it. I hope you guys make it to the end of this class. Every connection with a scorpion is instant death. That's the way it goes. You can have a pet snake, but no, senora, you cannot have a pet scorpion. You get close to it, it kills you. That's the way it goes. Scorpion is the animal, the creature that represents all connection with it is instant death. It gets worse. As you probably are aware, every Jewish month comes with a letter. I'm going to explain to you for those that find this. Oh, hi guys. Okay, that these are my people on the corner over there. I taught them this afternoon in the amazing Zucker Academy. Okay, they're the pioneers, the ninth graders. Anyhow, getting back to my class over here. When God created the world, what's called the foundation block of creation is actually Hebrew letters. What is my source? There's a sefer called Sefer Yetzirah, the Book of Creation. The Book of Creation is attributed, according to our custom, to Avraham Avinu. And there in chapter 5 it says that the building blocks of creation, first God created letters, and then by combining the letters, that's how he created different creatures. So a dog was created by taking a kaf and a lamed and a bet and putting them in that order, and that was how dogs were created. What that really means, you have to get Rabbi Wine to drink some alcohol, and then he'll tell you the rest of the story. But this is classic Kabbalah. This really is. So God created the Hebrew letters. The first 3 letters that he created was Aleph, Mem, and Shin. Aleph, technically speaking, stands for the word Avir, Mem for Mayim, Shin for Aish, which we called wind, fire, and water. They are the 3 basic elements of creation that move, right? That it can affect things around it. They're called, in the language of the Sefer Yetzirah, the Imahot, the big mama letters. The origin of the big mama jokes. This is where it comes from. Aleph, Mem, and Shin are the 3 mama letters. Then come the 7 letters that are called the Kfulot, the double letters. Beis, Gimel, Daled, Kaf, Pei, Resh, and Taf. They all get a Dagesh. Kaf and Chaf, Beis and Beis. If you are Yemenite, Gimel and Gimel. This is the way these things work. Those 7 letters were already expanded, God's creation, 7 days of the week, and the 7 planets, and other things that are not relevant for now. There are 12 letters left over, okay? 3 and 7 and 12 are the 22 letters. With those remaining 12 letters, God created the 12 months of the year. The first available letter is a Hey. Remember, Aleph is a mama letter. Beis, Gimel, Dal are Kfulos. So Hey is Nisan. Vav is Ir. Zayin is Sivan. It keeps on going until you have the letter Yud is Elul. Lamed is Tishrei. Now Mem is taken. It's a mama letter. So therefore, the month of Cheshvon is the letter Nun. Who here, because of his or her knowledge of the month of saying Ashrei, who here can tell me information about the letter Nun?
No Nun.
Why is there no Nun? What? Exactly. Okay. Shkayach. There we go. So, by the way, yeah, just make sure you send Marat our best regards. Okay, from the Nissels. The letter Nun stands for Nefila, which means crashing down. So we don't like the letter Nun. Nun is nasty. Nun is negative. Nun is Nissel. Anything that we don't like, it's always the letter Nun. So our dear friend Yecheskel in the back, not only is he instant death, he also represents everything that crashes and falls. That's why the letter Nun is associated with Cheshvon. But it gets worse. Historically, which great cataclysmic event is associated with the month of Cheshvan, at least according to the opinion of Rebbe Eliezer? What famous event happened in the month of Cheshvan? I'll give you a clue. What? The Mabul. Are you reading my notes? You're amazing. There we go. It's the Mabul. Okay. So the answer is the Mabul, right? The flood began on the 17th of Cheshvan. The word Mabul literally means a flood. The definition of a flood is to bring the world back to the second day of creation. It's a reset button on creation. That's basically what it is. The word Mabul has at its root a bet and a lamed. If you know Jewish grammar, you know bet and lamed is always, like the word, Rashi brings it down in the parasha, bilbul, beis vav lamed, beis lamed hey. All these are words that mean obliteration. Everything that goes from something, that goes from putting together something beautiful to bring it back to its original elements. So Yecheskel, next time you look in the mirror, you're seeing 3 things. Instant death. You're seeing something that crashes down, that falls, and therefore we don't mention it in Ashrei, and it means everything that is obliterated, everything that disappears and goes away. It's the month of the Mabul. At this point now, everyone is thinking, thank God I'm not a Scorpio. Thank God I wasn't born in Cheshvon. But if you wait till the end of the class, you're going to see I'm going to turn everything around. Because I have a very important message to share with you. I want to teach you something extraordinary. What I'm about to say to you between now and the end of the class, my sources are basically from two places. One is from Tzadok HaKohen of Lublin, and the other is the Bnei Yissaschar, plus other piece of information that I managed to gather together. I'm going to share with you a parable, a mashal. If you don't like this mashal, if you find it too twisted in the British way, it's because I made it up. It's totally made up by me, but it brings out the point exactly. I want you all to picture a young girl, a sweet young girl, let's say 8 or 9 or 10 years old, who was born in the most beautiful family. She hit the jackpot when it comes to parents. For some reason or other, her parents are just like beyond perfect. Mama, okay, I'm just using again cliches, so don't get upset. She stays at home and she makes perfect chocolate chip cookies. Crunchy on the outside, soft and chewy in the middle, with hunks of chocolate. She loves her mama, her mother, whatever it is, she's involved with every charity and she helps the shul a lot. She's just a great mom. But she has, and today you always have to add in a healthy way, she has something huge for her father. Because her father is just her hero. Her father gets up every morning, now I'm doing this is the way you brainwash your community. He goes to shul, see how I threw that in? He goes to shul, he has a chavrusa afterwards, he goes to work, comes back at 5, and then he turns off his phone and spends the next couple of hours before he goes to his chavrusa, okay, focusing on the kids. And he makes each kid feel special, helps them with the homework, tells them stories. But she loves her father because every Sunday they have a ritual where daddy takes the two of them, go off, they go to the local park, they play ball, they play frisbee, and afterwards they go and get ice cream. And daddy says, don't tell mommy, okay, you can take as many scoops as you want. I just feel very compelled because I know there's a war going on in Israel, but I work in a seminary that it was just when the war began and they decided to spoil the girls by bringing them for dinner katzefet ice cream. You know katzefet? You don't mess with katzefet. They came out with a new flavor. This is the main reason why you should go to Israel, ladies and gentlemen. It's called caramel pretzel. Oh my gosh, okay, you can see, okay, no one can focus anymore. I can see, that's what you're thinking about. Caramel pretzel, just keep that in the back of your mind. So, this happens week after week. One day, daddy says to Cutie Pie, he calls her Cutie Pie, he says, Cutie Pie, or Sweetie Pie, Cutie Pie, I want you to know that this Sunday morning, I'm taking you out for a surprise. I love daddy's surprise, it's so exciting. They go to a bicycle store. Daddy says, go in there, choose any bicycle you want. Don't look at the price, whatever you want, you can have. Now, Leanna, I have 5 daughters, I've done this 5 times. And it is traumatic for the father. Because, I grew up in London, I knew a little bit about bicycles and gearboxes and how they work. But when you take your girl for your first bicycle, she just looks for the color pink. And for like the frilly things and the bells, and worst of all, 2 of my daughters were obsessed with this hated Japanese cat. I don't know how I went through this. Hello Kitty, yeah, oh my gosh. For a while, every time I came to America, I had to bring her back all this Hello Kitty stuff, like Hello Kitty tissues and Hello Kitty pencil cases and Hello Kitty ashtrays, whatever it may be. It was just like everything was Hello Kitty. It was just so annoying. The worst one, my oldest daughter had the one with she had like a huge head with the Explorer. That's it, yeah. Dora the Explorer, okay? I used to torture my daughter. I used to say, you'll notice that Dora has never, ever, ever, ever taken off her t-shirt. You know why? She can't. Okay, it won't get over her head. And whatever she has, so she should get medical attention. That's what I tell them. Anyhow, the bottom line is that Dora the Explorer, this is what I go through. The bottom line is, let's go back to our story. Cutie Pie gets her bike, comes with training wheels, and now Sunday morning has a new ritual. Daddy is this ripped athlete. He's jogging with her, and she goes, and whenever it's not stable, Daddy is always there to stabilize everything, so everything works out perfect. And then one day, and then one day, Daddy says to Cutie Pie, sweetheart, this morning, I have a special surprise for you. And she notices that his voice is just a little bit ominous. They get in the car, they put the bike in the back, and Daddy starts driving, and driving, and driving, and driving, and suddenly she notices that she's in really bad neighborhoods. It's like when you get lost in Brooklyn. It's like she doesn't know where she is. It's like dark and foreboding and scary. And then Daddy starts to climb up this hill. And he's going higher and higher and higher. And Daddy's not saying a word. And she's looking at it. It's very scary. And then suddenly Daddy stops. And then when he stops, he says in this scary voice, he says, Cutie Pie, it's time for you to get out of the car. She gets out. And she looks over and she says, oh my gosh, on the other side, the road goes down like this, like a roller coaster. And as she's looking down as this roller coaster from hell, Daddy is taking off the training wheels. And then, without giving her a chance to process what's going on, Daddy picks her up, puts on the bike, gives her a shove, and then says the following words, hasta la vista, baby. And then he disappears. And then suddenly, she is going down this hill at 150 miles an hour on this bicycle, and she starts to realize that she now has two choices. Choice number one is to do nothing, in which case she will end up as a huge, big, bloody challenge with the asphalt at the bottom of the hill. But there's another choice, and that is for her to take control and to figure out this bicycle. She holds onto the handlebars. In her imagination, there's heavy metal music. Din and din and din and din din. Again, suddenly, born to be wild. She's got this. And she is going down this thing, and she says, I got this. And she cruises to the bottom, and she gets off. And she is fuming mad. She is so angry with her father. And she says, I'm finished with my father and his phony religion and this shallow, fake attitude that he had to me. It's over with. I'm joining a biker gang. And then, out of nowhere, suddenly, Daddy appears. And Daddy looks at her and says, hi, Cutie Pie. And she says, don't you call me Cutie Pie. You call me Death Pie. I'm going off to a tattoo parlor right now. I'm getting some piercings. I don't care anymore. Go away. And then Daddy takes out ice cream, like 12 scoops. And she starts to rethink. So what do you want? So Daddy says, before I give you the ice cream, I think you deserve a little word of explanation. And I sure do. He says, I never told you this, but I actually own an invisibility cloak. I put this area, you guys know that it's a Harry Potter reference. I put this cloak over, I disappear. When I said to you, hasta la vista, baby, I put on that cloak. I was running down. I was literally inches away from you. There was not a single moment that you were not 100% safe. And she looks at her father and says, you are severely twisted. I'm reporting you right now to social services. What kind of parenting is that, sicko? That's it, I'm going to get my piercings. And then Daddy gives her the ice cream, and she knows this is a time for her to think, yeah, right there, she can see the caramel pretzel. And she says, okay, do you have anything else to say? And this is what he says. And this is the whole purpose of my presentation tonight, is the next 2 minutes. Daddy says, I want to tell you something. you should know, my sweet beloved cutie pie, deaf pie, whatever you want to call yourself, I want you to know that Abba and Ima, your father and your mother, we could have kept you for the rest of your life, spoiled, happy. We could have given you everything you need. You could have lived a pampered life. Thank God we have the money. Thank God we have the ability to give you that love and that caring. But that is not what we want from you. That is not our dream for you. We want you to be partners with us and partners with your community. We want you to be a mover and a shaker and a builder. And the only way that we feel that you could find out who you are is to realize that you have strengths that you never ever knew you had. And the way to do that, we created an illusion that we had abandoned you, so that you would look deep inside of yourself and find out that in 10 seconds you can actually ride a bicycle. If you can do that in 10 seconds, imagine what you could do in 10 days or 10 months. Imagine how many layers and layers of strength and power that you never knew you had you could do when you realize that you're completely and totally on your own and there's no one that could possibly help you. Then and only then we would have shown you that there was never a moment in time that you were never in danger, that you were ever in danger. My dear friends, I mentioned to you that the letter Nun is missing in the month of Cheshvon. Who knows where the letter Nun comes back? Where's my Ashrei people? The next pasuk. What's the next pasuk? Somech Hashem l'chol hanoflim. God is there to lift up all those people that fall. He is their support group. The letter Samach is also the month of what? It's the month of Kislev. I taught you a few minutes ago, the 12 months follow the Aleph base. If Nun is Tishrei, Samach is Kislev. What happens at the end of Kislev? Hanukkah. What is Hanukkah all about? It's light. So till now, you assumed it's the light that lights out the future. It's the light that goes back from the Cheshvanayim and shows us that at the end of the month of Kislev, we have a light that can guide us through the dark exile. Wrong, wrong, wrong. The letter Samach, which is the month of Kislev, is a letter that shines retroactively to realize that Cheshvon was always an illusion. Now this is an incredible way how Kadosh Baruch Hu runs his world. Everything that God does always begins with what's called Chesed, Gevura, Tiferes, which means everything begins, everything's perfect, like the month of Tishrei, and then everything is dark and foreboding, where you feel scared, and you feel abandoned, and you feel that God is not with you. And you have a choice. You can either turn around and run, you can either abandon everything that you've gained till now, or you can push forward until that moment that you find out that Hashem was with you all along, which is the month of Kislev. Another example of the first 3 psukim of the Torah. The Torah begins, Bereshis bara Elokim et shamayim v'sa'aretz. In the beginning, God created heaven and earth. That is the world of perfection. That is the world where everything is perfect. 7 days corresponds to the month of Tishrei. Look at the second pasuk. Everyone look at me for one moment. Va'aretz haisu, tohu, bohu, choshech, b'nei tohom. You can almost see Cutie Pie going down that hill. Those correspond to the 4 exiles, darkness, different forms of void and emptiness. The second pasuk of the Torah is filled with the world crashing down. What is the third pasuk? Vayom Hashem, Yehi Ar, let there be light. That's the month of Kislev. That light was actually there all along. That light comes out, which is called the Ar Haganos, that hidden light becomes revealed to realize that all along Kadosh Baruch Hu is with us. And now I go back to my dear friend Yecheskel, our local scorpion. You look at the word akrav, ayin, kuf, reish, base. If you look at the word akrav, you break into 2 words, ayin, kuf, reish, and then a base. you have Ikar base. The most important month is always the second. Why is it that way? What is the power of the second month? The power of the second month is that through pain, we self-actualize. Through that moment of feeling abandoned, we find strengths and powers that we never ever believed that we could have. It's a crazy, crazy thing that we are going through a period of history that we're in the middle of it. So it's very, very hard to judge something as it's unfolding. I do know the following thing. That the month of Tishrei is made out of 30 days. There's 2 days that are unique, that the nations of the world have no connection to them whatsoever. One is Yom Kippur, and the other is Simchas Torah. I'm old enough, and just a giveaway, I'm 62. I am old enough to have very clear memories of the Yom Kippur War. The Yom Kippur War was the darkest day in my memory till this Simchas Torah, when there was literally the Syrian army had taken over the Golan, the Egyptian army had crashed through the Suez Canal, and they were on the way to Tel Aviv, and we were not prepared. We were, as Rabbi Yaakov coming in, we were still drunk from the 6-day war. And after that, the Jewish people did something that no other nation knows how to do, the way we do it. We came together in brother and sisterhood, in the power of unity, prayers, Torah study, everything that makes us beautiful. Hashmieni is kalecha, as Shir Hashirim says, describing the Jewish people at the Yam Suf. We cried out to Kodesh Baruch Hu. Those of you that know your history, what came out of the Yom Kippur War was the Baal Tshuva movement. In big time, it started as a trickle after the 6-day war. It came out as a flood, or Sameach, Aish, Hatorah. Everything began then. The whole Sephardic, with Rav Ovadia Yosef, everything that came with it, with Rav Elbaz, and all these people, it all happened then. It was the 70s. It was a massive, massive movement of teshuvah, of tshuva during that time. In the words of my Rebbe, Rosh Wolbe, Haya Ruach Mimarom. His words from Yeshayahu, there was a spirit from above. Something extraordinary happened during those days. That was Yom Kippur. Yom Kippur is a beautiful day, reconciling with the Kodesh Baruch Hu. But Yom Kippur is a day without true simcha. It's Hashem's Yom Simchas Libo. But for us, we're still fasting. There's one day in the calendar where we're both with simcha, and that's called Simchas Torah. The Simchas Torah, the Torah, is the love affair between man and God. And dancing and rejoicing with that is one day in the Jewish calendar. So Hashem chose that day. I still cannot tell you why, because prophecy is not one of my strong points. But I do know that we learned together just now that time and dates is very significant. There's something powerful about Simchas Torah. There's something super powerful when it's Simchas Torah that falls on a Shabbos. Because Shabbos this year is our secret weapon. Shabbos is more powerful than shofar. Shabbos is more powerful than the ritzui that comes out of the Daled Minim that brings all the rains. Shabbos is our friend, but we have to empower Shabbos so they can empower us. And this year, Hashem chose that day, and I don't know to tell you, I just showed the rabbi, one of the victims is a student of my son. My son has a yeshiva in Jerusalem, it's one of his students. I cannot be guilty to tell you, you see it from afar, but unfortunately I saw it from right up front, right in my own backyard. There's so much pain. It's almost I have 7 married kids, 6 of them live in Israel. Every single one of them lost people they knew. One from Carmiel, Beitar, everywhere they lost people they knew. And it wasn't just what happened, it's how it happened. And over a couple of hours, we suddenly found out that our army, which is on paper, the most powerful army in the Middle East, in the 6-day war, we saw what we could do. Hashem says, no, there's nothing we can do about it. If Hashem says, I abandon you, there's nothing we can do about it, except for one thing, and that is to find strength and that is to find deep, deep, deep insights into ourselves as individuals and as a nation that we never knew that we had. Before Simchas Torah, my country was fragmented. It was horrible. And I work in Kiruv, and I just kind of tell you the hatred between religious and non-religious, between the right and the left, it was fragmented like I've never seen in my own lifetime, living 40 years in Israel. It disappeared in a moment. It disappeared in a moment. Everyone was helping everyone, and everyone is helping everyone. And Hashem, please do not let this stop. Please let this continue way after this horrible war is over. And I come to the diaspora. I heard you guys saying Tehillim just an hour ago. I heard people saying everyone's saying Tehillim. And everyone here is working together. What can we do for our brothers and sisters in Israel? And we all know that there's not a single place on this planet now that is really safe for a Jew. And you cannot rely, I'm sorry for saying this, you cannot rely on America. You cannot rely on anything except for ourselves. We're in this together. Brothers and sisters, Jews with their fellow Jews. And in that world, there's no Hasidim, and there's no Sfardim, there's no Ashkenazim, there's no Chilani, there's no Haredi, there's nothing. There's just the children of Avram, Yitzhak, and Yaakov, the people that were there at Har Sinai, the people that have gone through thousands of years of exile. And this has to come to an end. The month of Cheshvon is the month of the Akrav. Akrav is Gematria 372. Same Gematria as Mashiach and David. And it's easy mathematics. Even I can do it. Mashiach is 358 and David is 14. 372. There's a medrash that brings down that the month of Tishrei is associated with the dedication of the first temple. The month of Kislev is associated with the second temple. The medrash, it's a Mechilta, brings down, Cheshvon was sad. Cheshvon says, you left me out. Hashem says, you Cheshvon, I have something special for you. It's called the third Beis HaMikdash, which will be forever and ever and ever and ever. Cheshvon says, why me? What do I have over Kislev, Hanukkah, over Tishrei? He says, that's when you discovered that you were truly powerful. That's when I, God, discovered that you were truly a partner of mine. And exactly the same way with Queen Esther, when she felt abandoned as she came into the palace, and she says, Katie, lama azamtani, God, why have you abandoned me? And she pushes forward, and she does not give up until she meets Achashverosh, who represents God. And Achashverosh says, you can have half of my kingdom. And God says to the Jewish people, you can have half of my kingdom, meaning we're splitting this together. Husband and wife, we're equal partners. Only because of what we went through in the month of Cheshvan. So I come from Yerushalayim, literally, I got off the boat yesterday. I come to Yerushalayim with the following message. During these days, in the month of abandonment, every single one of us has to ask a question, not what can the next person do, what I can do. And there's always more. And the most important thing to work on is your power of faith. To find that Jewish pride that say in times of darkness, I believe with a complete belief that there's light at the end of the darkness. I believe there's a Mashiach and a David that's going to greet us with ice cream at the end of this journey and is going to show us that he never ever abandoned us. Until that moment, you have to find the power of what's called Torah, Tefillah, and Gemilas Chasadim. The Torah study, which Baruch Hashem, this community is famous for. Avoda, which is your Tefillah. Specifically, this is the time for Tehillim, King David's gift for times of trouble. And then, Achron Chaviv, Gemilas Chasadim. Look around you. Who's hurting? What can you help more? What can you do for your fellow Jew? And together, the community of Las Vegas, with all the other communities across the globe, will get together and we'll be able to greet Mashiach and David. We'll be able to come to that third pasuk, Vayom Hashem Yehi Ar, let there be light. And we'll be able to finally overcome all the tzaras that we're going through from here of Yameinu. Thank you so much for listening.
Thank you, Rabbi Nisso. As part of our ongoing series in order to inspire and keep our community strong, it's a pleasure. I'm announcing right now Tuesday evening at 7:30, we will have Rabbi Noach Orlowick will be here from Jerusalem. This is Rabbi Moshe's father, right? So he'll be speaking here Tuesday at 7:30. So we have a 1-2 punch. It's really great to have you. Please hang around as part of community building. You can scatter away if you wish, but please hang around and meet someone who you don't know well yet and spend a few moments. Thank you again, Rabbi Nissel. It's great to have you.